You're watching the humansconf organizing team, or let's say part of the humansconf organizing team. And yeah, we just want to give you all out there like an idea of what an open space is, which is like the format that we choose for the humansconf, the event series. And yeah, we just want to talk about how it works, what we like about it, how we came to like it, and yeah, that's just it. And so I'm Benjamin. I kicked off humansconf sometime in the last year, 2019, that is. And yeah, for me, there was simply like a space and a space and a community missing for talking about everything related to people and humans and so on. And back then I didn't find anything. Funny enough, since then I found plenty of other conf. So such as You Got This, who's also putting on a great event shortly after our first open space. But yeah.
Hi everyone, I'm Vivek. I'm in Berlin and very excited to be part of the organizing team of humansconf. And open space as a concept behind humansconf is really exciting for me as a participant and also an organizer. It's all about co-creation and collaborative learning. So my first experience was almost 10 years back in Barcamp, and it was an awesome experience working and meeting different people, and essentially this a place for spontaneous discussions and new ideas being shared with a little bit of structure added around it. So I was really excited by that. And I'm hoping by this video, I can help you get a view of my experiences organizing and also participating in open spaces, and give you and motivate you to join this event on the 2nd of June. Andrei.
Hi everyone, I'm Andrei, and funny thing about open spaces, when I first read the tweet from Benjamin about the humansconf, I was at an open space, Socrates, France, which is an amazing, it happened last year, probably not this year, unfortunately, in an amazing location. I was talking with another one of our co-organizers, colleague, and about generally like how people work, and in general people, and I think of more than just at work. And when we read it, I'm like, whoa, this should be very interesting. First of all, I've met Benjamin before. We've had fruitful conversations about various things over yeah, it's really cool to be part of it, and really looking forward to see how this will turn out to be. It's going to be my first one on the online, and let's make it a great one and learn a thing or two, try out some new stuff. Why not?
Yeah. So Vivek already also touched on like how open spaces generally work, how they're structured. So most of the times I also use the Barcamp comparison. Like most people know about Barcamps, like in general, okay, they don't have like a fixed structure, or at least the schedule is filled most of the times on the morning of the conference, and that's very similar to how open spaces, or the open space that I've participated in, which also were like similar to what Andrei shared, like from the Socrates conference family. And so yeah, you basically come together at a certain point in time. Like if it goes over several days, it's on the morning of one day, or on the morning of every day you come together, and yeah, you co-create. You also use that word, Vivek. You co-create a schedule together, which magically just happens. It's really magic to have to see that work. Like yeah, anybody can propose sessions. Anybody can propose any kind of topic they want to talk about, they want to hear about. I really like this idea of pushing and pulling information. Like I have this topic I want to bring into the world. I can talk about it then. I can propose a session about it, but also I can pull information. I can pull a session like, okay, I always wanted to know what a monad is, and please can somebody tell me more about it. which is kind of like an inside joke, but sorry for that. So yeah, I really like this. It's very, this format of an open space really accommodates like all kinds of information sharing. I really love that, and so yeah, anybody can just on the morning and at the so-called marketplace, like stand up and say, like form a queue, of course, like not everybody is talking at the same time, but forming a queue, and when it's your turn to talk about your session, you basically just share a few sentences like, I'm Benjamin, I'm here to talk about like why it's so important for people to collaborate in an empathic way, and meet me at, I don't know, 10 o'clock in room XYZ, and then that's it. So, and then you show up at the time and at the space that you announced it, and then it's already happening.
Yeah, thanks, Benjamin, I think, for putting it together. As Benjamin said, the idea is to really get people who are passionate about not just sharing, but also learning and seeking out information. And I think the gathering is a form of actually organizing these people into these meaningful groups who are organized around this topic that they're passionate with. So you can obviously come and propose a topic that you want to talk about, or you want to hear people talk about. And that's the marketplace model that Benjamin mentioned. In my experience with barcamps, we have kind of evolved in a couple of formats. Some of them were like putting topics together and then voting to see how many people would like to kind of come together and listen on that topic. But I think it's just about idea is to give and trust the participants of the conference with the format, with the content. And I think when you do that, as Benjamin said, magic happens. Schedule is there, people are excited. And I think this biggest takeaway for me as a participant long back when I participated in open space was just the amount of energy and passion that people have, because they are not being told that this is how you should do things. It came out organically, and that was amazing because they have genuine enthusiasm and interest. So you get into the room and you say, hey, I want to talk about nonviolent communication, for example, and this is my experience with it, or this is what I heard about it. And you have people who probably have the same interest, like birds of feather, and they come together and they talk about it and they say where that conversation leads them to. So this might end up into new ideas, possibly a future thing that you can have a conversation ongoing around that topic. Who knows? And that's the nature and the unpredictability which really, really excites me as a participant, and also the upcoming humansconf. I'm really hoping that to have the same kind of energy and enthusiasm. Andrei.
To add to all that amazing already by now descriptions, how I perceive it is that you're empowering, you as an organizer, basically you're not dictating the terms, you're just facilitating like an environment where you're empowering the people to basically do everything, right? More or less, the people who want to talk about something, who want to ask questions about something, who just want to maybe co-create. That verb, I think, was thrown back and forth. And also what's important to say is that there's no rules, like as in bound to the room. Maybe you want to meet at the bar, maybe you want to meet outside, maybe depending on what you want, how you want the discussion to be. You wanted it to be a discussion, you want it to be a mob programming session, you want it to be pair programming. It can vary so much. And or let's say that someone has a question and has some idea and asks question, hey, I want to validate some points here, who wants to help me? So it's not only asking questions, I want to learn about this, but also I have some points, let's demolish them. What's wrong with them? Please help me. Or I have a talk I'm preparing, do you want to hear it and give me cues? Or I've given this talk before, who is interested in hearing it again? It varies on so many levels. And yeah, I think the energy, the amount of energy you get and also you spend there, it feels like after a weekend of like an open space event, you feel so exhausted. There's so much information floating by, and I always find myself being super enthusiastic. Like going into the weeks afterwards. Although I'm very tired, and yeah, it's really quite an experience.
I can, yeah, just agree with what has been said already. And yeah, I just want to like highlight or reiterate that, of course, for the first humansconf online open space that we're putting on, like it's not going to go like over a whole weekend, obviously. Yeah, we're basically trying it out. Like, how does it work? How does open spaces work in the online world? So I'm on the one hand very convinced that it works. So I've also participated in online open spaces, and so I'm very yeah, convinced that it works there. On the other hand, yeah, we just I just looked it up. Like again, one of the principles of open spaces is whatever happens is the only thing that could have happened. And this is for me, like together with these other principles, like one of the very powerful things about open spaces is by letting go of this control, you get so much more back. Because another principle is also no, that's not a principle, but I think which is also often like being mentioned when it comes to open spaces is being prepared to be surprised. So if you come to an open space, be prepared to be surprised. And that's what I find so beautiful about it. You just show up, and people who come there usually also, they want to be there because they want to share something. They don't just show up there as for other conferences in a kind of like expectant way. Of course, some also do, and that's fine. But much more people than at usual conferences show up at open spaces, like expecting or knowing they want to give something, they want to share something. So, and that changes a lot of the energy and at these events. And I hope, and I'm very confident that we can also transport that part into the into the online open space version.
To add to that, there's one thing which I really like is that, well, how is it that the people who come are always the right people?
Whoever comes are the right people.
Yeah,
Yes,
exactly.
that's another principle.
Yeah, it goes together with whatever happens, and be ready to be surprised.
Yeah. And also maybe to add one last thing there. In the beginning, we started off comparing or explaining an open space as a comparison to a bar camp. So, and while the concepts are similar in a way, I also found that these four principles that I'm going to mention just shortly, this one, four principles and the one law that kind of like set the stage for an open space, they've very much changed the energy of an open space compared to Barcamp, at least from my experience. So because Barcamp is often like, yeah, it's also, you can bring whatever you want to bring. But other than that, there's not much of a frame that gets set by a facilitator. Whereas an open space with the four principles and the one law, and because there's this role of the facilitator who often, at least as the ones I have experienced, I joke, they set like they again can bring in a very amazing energy into it. So yeah, and these principles are like what Andrei said, whoever comes are the right people, whatever happens is the only thing that could have, whenever it starts is the right time, whenever it's over, it's over. So these principles are very much about like letting go of control, being open for surprises. And then there's this so-called, some people call it the law of 2 feet, others call it the law of mobility, which is very much like if you feel you're neither learning nor contributing to anything, it's totally fine to move on. And so it's very common in open spaces that I've experienced that people just move around, and that's fine. And nobody has like this any kind of expectation for you to stay put. And if you leave my session, then I'm like really mad at you and I really don't like you anymore or anything like that. No, that's totally not the case. But it's fine. You're free. You're free to go wherever. So that's especially the law of 2 feet, law of mobility. I'm very curious how that's going to work out in an open space. So we will definitely allow for it in terms of from a technological point of view. And I'm very keen to see if people use it.
I mean, now that you mentioned all these principles, it kind of makes me think that this whole setup is encouraging you to be in the moment. I know it sounds very, too much, but it's kind of is going in that direction. But let's get the most out of what we can, and if not, maybe just move to the right and see there, and if not, move to the left. And yeah,
very stoic.
In a way, yeah. I have no clue about stoicism, but I've met a lot of stoics at open spaces, so maybe there's something to it. Cool. Thank you very much, folks. That was a lot of fun. Any parting words before we say goodbye?
Looking forward to having you on the upcoming humansconf on the 2nd of June. And yeah, we'll be very excited to have you there. And let's have a lot of fun, learn, and try to make the best of use of the time.
Yeah. Hopefully see you, as many of you, next week.
Perfect. Thank you. Great parting words. See you.
Bye.